It's Saturday morning, and the weather's not exactly providing. Rain on the driveway, grey skies, but perfect conditions for a day in the shed. Today's plan is to get the powerhead back on the engine. Welcome back to Boating with Fraser. If you're new here, this whole thing started a few months back. A full rebuild on my Yamaha 140. New pistons, bearings, everything. It's been a mission. A lot of late nights, a few mistakes, and a whole lot of learning. But we're finally at the good part, putting it all back together. Today's goal, drop the powerhead back on the midsection and see if everything lines up. Having a small boat is awesome. You can just lug it round wherever you want and not put your back out when trying to move it. It's nothing quite like the sound of the rain pounding down on the roof of the shed. It's just so peaceful and you're nice and cozy inside. Now I've got these wall heaters at work, but my only problem with them is you've got to stand right next to it to actually feel any of the heat. Is it just me, or does anyone else feel this way? So good to get the block off this bench. It's been sitting on this bench for probably 2 months now, and it's just time for it to get back on this engine. The V4 models have a mounting eye on the front of the block, but that's not very centered when you lift it, so you have to use a custom sort of one that screws into the flywheel bolt holes to lift it, and this way it lifts it nice and evenly. It can be quite tedious moving this engine crane around. It never really wants to go where you want it to go. Just realised I forgot to clean the gasket surface up underneath, so I'll do that now. My main concern though is all these wires. I just got to try and use the noggin, remember where they all went. We're about ready. Now before I pull this engine apart, I made sure to take a lot of photos of where everything went, but classic me didn't take enough photos and just thought I could wing it, which was silly, but I have a book with wiring diagrams which will help me. Got the new gasket we're going to put down. Now it's all clean. We'll just have to put some gasket goo around there on both sides and we'll be ready to drop it. Now this gasket sealer we use, I don't think there's been one time where I've not got it on my hands. You just look at it and it gets on you. And it is a pain to get off. But it has to be done, and I don't know why I don't wear gloves with it. I can't really complain when I'm not really doing myself any favours, but I just don't like the feel of the gloves. I find my hands slip a lot in them. Here I'm just greasing up the splines so they don't seize up in the engine. It's always really important to grease your drive shaft. We're ready to drop it. Let's do it. Now I've dropped a few powerheads before, but this is definitely the biggest engine I've done. I've done a few small engines and a few sort of medium-sized engines, but this is by far the biggest engine powerhead I've dropped. And there is a lot of things that you have to line up and make sure you don't forget. Now when dropping the powerhead, it's fairly simple on paper. I mean, you just sort of line up the drive shaft with the crank and lower. But the lining up can be a little bit of a pain. You sort of just got to spin the drive shaft with the prop so it lines up, and then all of a sudden it will pop down into the locator pins and you'll be away. Here's a slow-mo shot of it dropping. That noise is perfection. And just like that, we are in. As you can see in the clip before, I was quite happy to see it drop down. Just go around and check it's all nice and flat. Got a bag of bolts, got to clean them up and chuck them in. I could clean bolts on the wire wheel all day. I find it so satisfying and relaxing. It's just fun as. Now, manufacturer's specs say to Loctite all these bolts, so I'm going to be Loctiting all of these bolts. And when I first started using Loctite, I thought you had to cover the whole bolt in Loctite, but what a silly mistake that was, because all you need on Loctite is a little dab on the end, because the thread is what uses it. A little bit of Loctite goes a long way. Now there's 10 bolts and 2 nuts which hold this power head to this midsection. Most power heads have reasonably easy bolts to do up, but this one has these 2 little bolts at the front of the engine which can be a pain to do up. The access is so small and you just got to turn them bit by bit and be very patient. Now once I've got all these bolts reasonably snug in there, I'm just going to go around and torque them to the manufacturer's spec, which is 21 Newton meters. In some of the bolts I can't get my torque wrench in there, so to combat this I'm just going to feel with a wrench how firm the bolt is and just sort of match it to the other bolts. Now once all the bolts are nice and torqued up, we can now put these little covers on the midsection of the engine. They just cover up the bolts and make it look a bit nicer. It took me so long to put these covers on, they just weren't lining up. This part of the video is literally 28 times time lapse. Yeah, it just took ages. Okay, after a long time of running some cables and sorting it out, we are pretty much good to go to start on rigging it up properly. So let's get into it. Now looking back on this now, I really should have left the rigging till Sunday. I just thought I could get it all done in one day, and what a big mistake that was. You'll see why in a second. This is where it all went downhill. I just realised after drilling this hole that I had to drain the oil tank inside the boat from its old oil to replace with fresh ones. When I originally installed this oil tank, it took about an hour to put it in because the hose just wouldn't line up. I got it out in about 2 seconds, and when I tell you it took an hour to put back in, I just had enough. What also sent me off was when I was taking this oil over to the disposal, I spilt it everywhere, all over my jumper, all over my arms, and yeah, I just called it a day there. Yesterday, I just wasn't going right towards the end of the day. We got her on, but thought I'd come back today a lot better. Fresh mind, fresh bit of energy. So yeah, let's get into it. And we're back for the Sunday, feeling more motivated than ever. I just couldn't hack it yesterday and thought I should come back with a fresh mind. When I tell you, I need to learn this. When something's not going right, it's better to just call it a day than carry on. There's been so many times where I've carried on and it just leads to so many mistakes. But today we're back and we're just running the fuel and getting everything ready for running it. Now I'm just putting in my control cables, fuel line, and all the other looms that are required to start the engine. These can be quite tricky to get through, but once they're through, they're good. Now once we have everything through, it's time to put the trunking over the top of the cables. Whenever I'm rigging up a boat, I like to use this stuff. It's just really nice. It's like a woven plastic and it expands and contracts depending on how long your cables are. I was going to run a big corrugated tube that encloses all of the cables, but I mean it's just too expensive and this is the budget build after all. These grommets can be a real pain to get all the cables in, but they're either really good or really bad. But luckily it wasn't too bad today. Now once we have that in, we're good to go. We have everything run and sitting nicely now, all nicely enclosed in that woven cable rigging tube. And yeah, next step is to run it. But that's going to be all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. It means a lot. If you made it this far, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. And yeah, to finish the video, just going to show you a few clips on how she looks. Cheers for watching. Peace.